All right, I've looked at cytoplasm and its function. Next, we're looking at the nucleus. All right, the nucleus is the largest organelle in the cell. Take note, the largest organelle in the cell, and it contains all the cell's genetic information in the form of DNA. Okay, now we'll see that the presence of the nucleus is the primary factor that distinguishes eukaryotes from prokaryotes. All right, like I told us before, um, one has a true cell, uh, one has a true nucleus rather, while the other does not. So take notice another jam question. What is the distinguishing factor between eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells? One has a true nucleus while the other one does not. All right, now the structure of the nucleus is given below. You can see first of all we have the nuclear envelope, two lipid membranes that are stored with special proteins that separates the nucleus and its contents from the cytoplasm. Okay, next is the nuclear pores. They are tiny holes found in the nuclear envelope, and they help to regulate the exchange of materials such as the RNA and proteins, all right, between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. And the next slide, you see the structure and the labelings of all these structures of the nucleus, all right. Then the chromatin. The chromatin are thin long strands of DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and protein. The nucleus makes RNA, another type of nucleic acid. Now, see, we said during cell division, DNA contracts and folds to form distinct structures called chromosomes during cell divisions. Take note, during cell division, the DNA contracts and folds to form distinct structures called the chromosomes. The chromosomes are formed at the start of cell division, all right? And also the genetic material of eukaryotic organisms is separated from the cytoplasm by a membrane. The genetic material of eukaryotic organisms is separated from the cytoplasm by a membrane, whereas the genetic material of a prokaryotic organism like bacteria, all right, is in direct contact with the cytoplasm. Let's not forget this. Don't forget what I said earlier. Prokaryotes does not have a true nucleus. Eukaryotes have true nucleus. All right, look at the diagram, the schematic diagram. Can you see the nucleus, the nucleoplasm? All right, can you see the chromatin, the nuclear pores? All these makes up the nucleus of the cell. They make up rather the nucleus of the cell. Now, it said mitochondria also contain DNA called mitochondrial DNA, but it makes up just a small percentage of the cell's overall DNA content. All mitochondrial DNA in humans is derived from the mother side. Take note, all mitochondrial DNA in humans derived from the mother side. Now, what are the functions of the nucleus? What are the functions of the nucleus? The main functions of the nucleus is to control gene expression. When you talk about genetics, anything that has to do with genetics, the function of the nucleus. So control gene expression, right, and facilitate the replication of DNA during the cell cycle. The replication of DNA during the cell cycle. All right. The nucleus also controls metabolic functions of the cell by producing mRNA, which it controls metabolic functions of the cell by producing mRNA, which encodes for enzymes, e.g. insulin. All right, it also performs metabolic functions just as we have for the cytoplasm. Okay, the nucleus controls the structure of the cell, the third one, by transcribing DNA, which encodes for structural proteins such as the actin and keratin. These are structural proteins, the actin and the keratin. We'll see more details about those as we proceed. All right. Then also the fourth one, the nucleus is the site of ribosomal RNA, ribosomal RNA, ribosomal RNA synthesis, as a synthesis of the ribosomes, which is important for the construction of ribosomes. Ribosomes are the site of protein translation. Yeah, I told us earlier on that ribosomes they are used in protein synthesis from amino acids. They synthesize proteins from amino acids. But the last function of nucleus we have here, uh, the characteristics are transmitted from parent to offspring through genetic material contained in the nucleus. Like I said earlier, cell division and all that, mitosis, meiosis, characteristics are transmitted from parent to offspring through genetic material genetic materials are contained, such as the DNA, the RNA, the chromosomes. They are contained in the nucleus. All right, next on the list is mitochondria. I think we're going to take that for today. We're taking it one step at a time so that we can get a proper analysis of the organelles. All right, mitochondria. Mitochondria is the plural, mitochondrion is the singular. All right, so a mitochondria is a membrane-bound organelle found in eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells, that term has been occurring frequently in the course of our class. All right, eukaryotic cells are cells that have true nucleus. All right, so it's a membrane-bound organelle found in eukaryotic cells. This organelle generates the cell's supply of chemical energy, as we all know that the mitochondrion is the powerhouse of the cell, by releasing energy stored in molecules from food and using it to produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So the majority of the functions of the mitochondria deals with the supply of chemical energy in the cell. All right, from food and using it to produce ATP energy. ATP is a special type of energy carrying molecule. All right. Now the structure and the function of the mitochondrion. The mitochondria contain two phospholipid bilayers. I talked about bilayers in our last class. Phospholipid bilayers. All right. There is an outer membrane and an inner membrane. Okay, look at the diagram closely. All right. You can see the outer membrane